Here is another video requested by one of our viewers who is having a difficult time figuring out where they're going to park all of the cars that are usually parked on the driveway. And this could be a problem in large cities where the streets are filled with cars or there just isn't enough parking for all of the people living in the area. So my first suggestion to you would be to divide the driveway up into manageable sections that can be removed and replaced in one day or within a timely manner that will work for your project. So what I did here in my example was divided it up into 5 sections. And we're going to remove our first section. And I will let you choose which section you think will work best for your project. Just keep in mind that you're probably going to want to work your way from one end of the driveway to the other. I don't know if starting in the middle will provide you with the best method for doing this. Now, another thing I need to point out is that you might need to move this section back a little bit. So for example, if this was where our line was going to be for dividing our driveway into equal sections, then you're going to want to move it back a little bit so that you can get a form board in there. And I'm not about to suggest that you need to work in equal sections either. You can divide this driveway up into whatever you need to make this work for you. So let's go ahead and install our form boards and our rebar. And I do have a few more videos on this at our website, and I will put a link in the video description box to those videos. And if we take a closer look at the rebar, you can see that the rebar on the left side will not be going into the driveway on the right side. And I think it's going to work a little bit better if the rebar does connect the 2 separate slabs together. And this would include the garage slab. So you can see here where the rebar is stopping. And if it's separated, then this part of the concrete or this part can raise over time or sink over time, creating irregular, uneven surfaces. And that's probably not going to happen if you drill holes into the existing concrete garage floor slab or footings. And I have my rebar here spaced 24 inches on center. You can always change that spacing and make it a little closer, but I don't think it's going to work better if you space them farther apart. And for those of you paying attention, this is not a magic trick down here. I simply removed a little more of the concrete slab on the other side and drilled some holes through our form boards for the rebar so that we can extend the rebar into the next slab that is going to be poured so that we can connect the next 2 slabs together. And you're simply going to repeat the process, working your way down the driveway until it's finished. Now the rebars will need to lap. If it's number 4 rebar, it usually needs to lap 20 inches. So that would be a section 20 inches long, starting from this point to this point. And that will include any rebar that you have lapping throughout the rest of the project, whether it's going in this direction or this direction. So you can get a pretty good idea what we're doing here and how we're going to connect each one of the slabs together. And since we're dealing with a parking problem, you might need to create some type of a bridge between the slabs. And you can usually do that with something like this. And if you don't have any gravel, you could always backfill this with dirt or use a board large enough that will not require any additional support underneath it. And of course, we can always shape the ends of those bridge blocks. And I went ahead and chopped the driveway up into a few more sections. If you need to work in smaller sections, don't be afraid to cut this driveway up. Your rebar is going to hold everything together. And if you plan on chopping a driveway up into sections like this without using any rebar, there's a very good chance that within a few years, maybe even 10 years, you're going to be dealing with a variety of uneven surfaces if the soil wasn't properly compacted or you're dealing with some type of soil erosion. And to wrap this video up, let's just go ahead and throw some cars in here and how they could be parked when you're working in this section here, or how they can be parked if you're working in this section here. Just don't forget that the cars on this side of the new concrete might not be able to be moved until the concrete is dry and strong enough for the cars to go over.